2023年5月13日，北京5.3大冰雹。
The skies over Beijing turned dark long before the rain began. What started as a gentle drizzle quickly transformed into one of the most devastating flood events in northern China's recent history. Within just a few hours, torrential rain unleashed its fury upon the capital region, submerging roads, homes, and entire districts under a relentless deluge of water. According to Chinese authorities, at least 38 people have died, and tens of thousands have been forced to evacuate their homes across the Beijing municipality and neighboring Hebei province. The scale of destruction is enormous. Bridges collapsed, vehicles were swept away, and entire villages disappeared beneath muddy torrents. For millions, it was a night of fear and helplessness as nature unleashed its most violent phase. The heavy rainfall began unexpectedly late last week. Meteorologists had forecast strong storms, but few anticipated the historic intensity that followed. Some areas recorded over 700 millimeters of rainfall in less than 72 hours, rivaling the city's annual average. The downpour overwhelmed Beijing's drainage system, infrastructure designed decades ago for much milder weather. Within hours, the city's underpasses turned into lakes, subway tunnels flooded, and traffic ground to a halt. Residents described terrifying scenes. It was like the sky broke open, said one survivor from Fangshan district. The water came from every direction, from the mountains, from the roads, even from underground. Many families were trapped in their homes overnight, their electricity cut off, their phones losing signal as the water level continued to rise. In some low-lying neighborhoods, residents climbed onto rooftops, waving flashlights and white towels to attract rescue teams. In the northern districts of Miyan and Mentugu, the situation was particularly dire. Miyan Reservoir, one of the capital's largest water reserves, reached dangerously high levels. Officials were forced to open floodgates to relieve pressure, releasing massive amounts of water downstream. This action, while necessary to prevent a catastrophic dam failure, worsened flooding across the lower plains, where towns and farmlands were already under several meters of water. Rescue teams from across the country poured into the capital. Soldiers, firefighters, and volunteers worked tirelessly, wading through chest-deep water to reach stranded families. Helicopters hovered overhead, dropping food supplies, ropes, and life jackets to those trapped on rooftops. Rubber boats ferried people to higher ground. Yet despite these efforts, communication difficulties and power outages slowed rescue operations, leaving many isolated for more than 24 hours. Social media quickly filled with images and videos that stunned the nation, buses swallowed by floods, entire streets transformed into raging rivers, and families forming human chains to reach safety. On Douyin and Weibo, hashtags like Beijing Flood and Pray for Mentugu dominated searches. Underneath the dramatic visuals, comments poured in, some expressing sympathy, others raising questions. Why was the warning system delayed? Could more lives have been saved with faster alerts? The government declared a Level 1 emergency response, the highest in China's disaster management system. Schools and businesses in several districts suspended operations. Evacuation centers were set up in sports halls and public schools, where displaced families received temporary shelter, food, and medical aid. Meanwhile, meteorologists warned that the storm's remnants could continue to bring rain for several more days, raising the risk of landslides in nearby mountainous areas. Experts say the disaster highlights a growing and unavoidable truth: China's climate is changing rapidly. With rising global temperatures, atmospheric moisture levels have increased, intensifying rainfall patterns. Beijing, like many megacities, is struggling to adapt to these new realities. Urban expansion has sealed natural drainage areas under concrete, and deforestation in surrounding regions has reduced the land's ability to absorb water. The result? When rain comes, it has nowhere to go but into the streets. The floods also reignited debate over China's massive hydraulic infrastructure projects. The country's extensive dam and reservoir system, once considered the cornerstone of flood control, has come under scrutiny. While these structures protect certain areas, they can also shift water pressure downstream, transferring risk rather than eliminating it. The emergency releases from Miyan Reservoir sparked anger among residents in Hebei, who felt they bore the cost of protecting the capital. In human terms, the tragedy is immeasurable. Thousands of homes have been destroyed. Farmers have lost entire crops. Factories and small businesses face ruin as machinery and stock remain underwater. Power substations have failed, and drinking water supplies in several suburbs are contaminated. In rural areas, families cling to the hope that the water will recede soon, so they can begin to rebuild what was lost. For those who survive, the emotional toll is heavy. Many lost family members, pets, and neighbors in the chaos. At an evacuation shelter in Fangshan, an elderly man recounted how the flood came in the middle of the night. We woke up and the house was shaking. The water was already at our knees. We tried to save the chickens, but they were gone. My son carried my wife on his back through the water. We barely made it. Meanwhile, rescue teams continue their efforts. Every hour brings new stories of bravery, volunteers diving into muddy water to free trapped residents, police officers forming human chains to guide children to safety, and medical workers tending to the injured despite exhaustion. Across social media, countless people offer donations and prayers for those affected. But even as the waters slowly begin to recede, new dangers emerge. Stagnant water raises the risk of disease outbreaks, while damaged roads and bridges complicate relief delivery. Local authorities have begun spraying disinfectants and distributing bottled water, but logistical challenges remain immense. In some remote areas, helicopters are still the only way to deliver aid. Environmental scientists warn that this may not be an isolated incident. Extreme weather events are becoming more frequent, striking cities unprepared for such magnitude. They call for urgent investment in climate-resilient urban planning, upgrading drainage systems, restoring wetlands, improving forecasting, and enhancing emergency communication networks. Still, amid the devastation, there is resilience. Communities are coming together, helping neighbors, sharing food, and offering comfort. Volunteers from unaffected provinces are arriving with trucks loaded with supplies. For all its tragedy, the flood has revealed something enduring, the spirit of solidarity in the face of crisis. As Beijing recovers, the rest of the world watches closely. The city, home to more than 21 million people, now faces not only physical reconstruction but also a profound reckoning with its vulnerability. How can one of the most advanced cities on Earth be brought to its knees by water? The question lingers, not just for China but for every urban center facing the storms of a changing climate. This disaster is a reminder that no city is immune, no matter how modern or fortified. Nature still holds the power to humble humanity. And as the floodwaters retreat, they leave behind a lesson written in the mud. Preparedness must go beyond prediction. It must be part of how cities live, breathe, and grow. To those watching, we invite you to reflect, not just on the images of chaos, but on the urgency of action. Because the next flood could come anywhere, anytime.
去那边。操，那走不了，那也没法子，走不了。
non-stop ada. Non-stop ada. Non-stop ada. Non-stop ada. Non-stop ada. Non-stop ada. Non-stop ada.